Hello and welcome to your in-depth weekly horoscope for week commencing the 11th of July. This is for the Sun or the Ascendant. I'm going to give you a broad overview of what to expect, but please stay with me. I will then dive deep to give you in detail each of the 12 zodiac signs from Aries through to Pisces. Now this week has a supermoon in the sign of Capricorn, also known as a buck moon. But it's a bit of a misnomer, this, because the moon's actually in its most vulnerable position in its entire journey through those 28 days that it takes to go through its cycle. And because of that, I think it's important to understand that Capricornian energy, where the moon resides, is very much about the worldly realm. And we also have the potent planet of power, Pluto, not too far distant from this moon position too. But on the other side of the heavens, we have the Sun and the more quick-witted energies of Mercury. And they're asking us to think about protection, nurture, security, family issues, anything to do with our emotional needs. Now, it has become a bit of a maxim over the last 10, 15 years or so, that work-life balance. But with the advent of COVID and the amount of people working from home, has that ever been more true than now? So I think all of us could find ourselves in some quite strident conversations this week. There may be that practical, physical realm that we have to service, the demands of work and earning the money, dealing with the realities of life as it is, but how do we balance this with our more emotional needs? And there can be some very intense moments, because broadly the moon and the sun are obviously exactly opposite, but Mercury and Pluto in the mix as well means we have a very intense set of energies on this particular full moon. Now also the energies in the sign of Uranus, which have been very strong this year because of the North Node reversing into Taurus on the 18th of January. And as I predicted in the autumn of last year, a big reset around the cost of living was very likely. Now, of course, now Mars has moved into this sign, but Mars is detrimented in the sign of Taurus, and Mars is also very impatient. It wants to consume, whereas the North Node and Uranus, which come together, by the way, in an exact conjunction on the 26th of July, well, they're much more to do with, in terms of Uranus, the truth, and in terms of the North Node, karma. We could see with Mars in the mix as well, quite a lot of volatility in terms of financial markets. It could be in terms of the cost of foodstuffs or fuel. They've gone up a lot already, but I feel that the response of consumers could be a lot more angry with Mars in the mix. Fortunately, however, Uranus forges a terrific link with the position of the Sun on that full moon. And if we're prepared to, look at things afresh, even things that are a bit stuck or difficult, and be more innovative and flexible in our approach, we can still make progress. Also, Venus, the planet of relating, it forges a very stable link with Saturn in the second half of this week. And that can help us to really appreciate the friendships or the financial part of our situation which are secure. Unfortunately, however, Venus, concurrent to that influence, is squared up by Neptune in the second half of this week. So I think it's possible, with all these energies boiling around, that we may start to see the people that really understand our predicament, are supportive of it, at least, in terms of their emotional understanding of our particular individual situation. And we're going to see people who may want to avoid the reality of some harsh situations, and that could be Venus in that square with Neptune. If you do meet someone for the first time in a romantic context, if it's someone who's quite self-confident and has done well in a financial context, that could be something that actually doesn't feel so good, because the energy in the sign of Cancer is calling for a sense of understanding the importance of nurture, but there still could be some kind of big charged energy, whether it's around a personal situation or the world at large. And I just think that right angle between Venus and Neptune points towards the distortion of information. So if you do meet someone for the first time and you're not quite sure about them, I really would take it slowly. But Venus and Neptune, when they are in a relationship together, can also help us to trip the light fantastic. So maybe we just want to actually have a bit of escapism and enjoy some kind of time with someone who is very mesmeric. It's just down to that personal choice. But for more stable relationships, I think Venus's angle with Saturn is one that we can all really celebrate. Now, I've stormed through the 100,000 subs mark, and I'd love to get to 101 as soon as possible. I think we're about, at the time of recording this video, up to about 100,000 and 100,200 subs. If you've subbed already, thank you so much. If you've yet to do so, I'd be greatly appreciative. Please click or tap on the bell notification symbol. And if you would like to benefit from more serious astrology, if you tell me 3 pieces of personal information in terms of time, date and place of birth, I can share with you a roadmap that can guide your moves for the rest of your life, and also a 12-month forecast with 30% off with my special package. Please see the link beneath this video. No 2 charts are the same, totally based on your information, and will help you to understand some of the patterns that may have dominated in your life so far, good or bad, and help you to perhaps work on the more challenging ones, but also can give you tremendous insights to guide your moves going forwards and to seize opportunities in a much more effective way. But please stay with me now for your in-depth forecast from Aries through to Pisces. So Pisces, your week commencing the 11th of July forecast sees your traditional ruler of Jupiter in a semi-sextile to Mars. I think that this gives you an opportunity to use your wit and ability to digest information quickly and to work with ideas with great passion, and it could be financially helpful to you. Of course, the big focus this week will be on the supermoon. The supermoon for you in the part of your horoscope to do with your longer term future and to do with friendships and your network. Now, house 11, where this occurs, is the collective, whereas the Sun and Mercury are in the 5th house, very much to do with our personal interest in that situation. So finding a good balance between what's good for you and how you work together with others is what this full moon is really demanding. But Uranus, the planet of surprises and of freedom, is actually in a very enlivening link to the Sun. So I think that along with the position of Mars in the sign of Taurus, means that your mode of expression, your ideas can be really quick and I think possibly very imaginative. It's a time to think outside the box a little bit, particularly when it comes to your self-expression. But there may be people that you have been aligned to in the past who won't necessarily appreciate if you're striking a more individualistic note. Venus, however, does continue in your 4th house, and some kind of change to your home. Maybe you're decoratively improving it, maybe you're doing something to do with upgrading it, maybe you're inviting people around to spend time with you where you're playing host. All of those things could be possible this week. But with Saturn in a trine with Venus, your connection to someone who may actually go quite a lot back in your history, that person, like a very old friend or someone from your childhood, someone connected to your family, you could have a deep conversation with that person that can actually be very revealing but also very rewarding. What's more challenging is Neptune in your sign is squaring Venus. So if you are thinking about spending money on actually moving to somewhere else, it's probably important to know that the Sun and Mercury are in your sector of risk. It doesn't mean to say that you shouldn't speculate at the present time, but Neptune can make us very sensitive, but it can also alter our reality. So if you're wanting that perfect home, I think this week's influences are saying, don't go beyond what you can realistically afford. But equally, if you're burying your individual hopes in order to please people in your group or a collective situation, that's not so good. But equally, if you're so invested in what you want to do as an individual, you can't remember the last time you saw your friends, you're being, just encouraged to get in touch with them and send a text message or an email and just make that connection once more.